Hello, all souls. Hey, let me fix my scooter. Okay. I'm Reverend Louise Green, and my pronouns are she, her. I am so glad to be with you for Homecoming 2, the sequel. Woo! Now, this worship is a hybrid work in progress, people. Our tech team, Amanda and Charlie, could not possibly be working harder. And all our staff are striving mightily. So hang in there with us as we gradually get Zoom and live worship fully aligned. There's a slight delay, and we're going to be up to speed soon. So thank you for your presence. We mark the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month on September 15th. And so today we celebrate the worldwide beauty and history of Latinx peoples, particularly in the United States, where we celebrate this month. Our call to worship is by the Reverend Marta Valentin. It's from a reading called Be Still with Me and Enter. So I invite you to settle into this space. Wind your thoughts like a river toward the center of who we are this morning as one body and out among others in the world. Be still with me and enter into this celebration of resilience and resurrection. For we are vessels eternally rising out of the water alive with a purpose and a strength unknown to us. Be still with me and enter quietly into this place of unbound love and gratitude. And now we light our chalice. We light our chalice today as a symbol of the inherent worth and dignity of every creature. And let us worship in that rainbow of glorious identities that is the living family of all souls. We're going to be doing our opening hymn, and you may have heard there's a new way of singing in the church. We're masked, we're humming, and we're swaying with the music. I'm going to grant you, it feels weird. But please don't sing out loud for the safety of the whole. And if you are on Zoom, do sing forth and stay on mute. So we will gather to hear music outside together from the Jubilee Singers at the end of the service. Now, please join in the opening hymn in your own way. Rise as you are willing or able, and we will let freedom span both east and west and love both north and south.
Let freedom span both east and west, along the south and north, in universal fellowship throughout the whole wide earth. In beauty, wonder everywhere, let us communion find. Compassion be the golden cord close
Good morning, and welcome to All Souls Church. My name is Justice Tuya, and today I will be one of your worship leaders. I identify as a cisgender gay male. I am 6 feet tall, a person of color, and proudly in my late 30s. I'm wearing a black polo and a pair of blue jeans. Welcome to this place where all people, people of all races, national origins, creeds, gender identities and expressions, sexual orientations, ages, and disabilities, where all people are welcome at this table of love and fellowship. This Sunday, we are simultaneously worshiping in both the sanctuary and via Zoom. We thank you for your patience as we continue to work out the tech complexities. Reverends Rob Keithan and Kathleen Rollens will be our liturgists. The Jubilee Singers and Leonard Starks are providing music, and the Reverend Luis Green will be preaching. Worship leaders will be masked while seated and be unmasked when speaking, so you can both see and hear us better. We extend a special greeting to those joining us for the first time and those of you who continue to worship with us in person. Our weekly email bulletin is the best way to stay up to date with the latest news. You can sign up through the link posted in the chat or visit the All Souls website. It is important to recognize the people who lived on the land where our church now stands. The closest village was Nacotchtank, from which the name Anacostia is derived. They were part of the Piscataway group of First Nations peoples. As we reflect on our role in building the beloved community, we summon our communal strength to intercultural acts of love across the ethnocultural spectrum of humanity, to include our First Nation siblings. We acknowledge that Indigenous peoples were here before us, are here now, and will continue to journey with us as we move into the future. Let us observe a moment of silence to reflect on whose land we each reside in our many locations around the world. Now, we will greet each other in a time of beholding. If you feel so moved, please turn on your camera, put Zoom on gallery view, and scroll through the pages of many beautiful faces, both known and unknown. You can wave and say hello in the chat as we continue to create online community together. From those of us in the sanctuary, we send you both our love and greetings, and everyone can wave to one another.
Good morning, All Souls. I'm Dolores Miller, your Director of Religious Education. Welcome to a fun and exciting new church year. The All Souls theme for September is reunion. Reunion, coming back together again. It was in the summer when the relatives came. They filled an ice chest full of water and soda pop and sandwiches, and up they drove. They left when it was still dark out, and they drove all day long and into the night. And as they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses in different mountains, and they thought about us, waiting for them. When they drank up all their water and soda pop and ate all their sandwiches, they finally pulled into our yard.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. We are family. I got all my sisters.
Then it was hugging time. Oh, to hug again. Those relatives passed us all around, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying. Oh, those relatives. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was a good thing because there weren't any extra. So some of them squeezed in with us, and the rest just slept anywhere, some with arms and legs thrown over the nearest person. It was different, going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. The relatives stayed for weeks. We sang, we danced, they helped us tend our garden, and they fixed every broken thing they could find.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Sing it to me. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family.
Finally, after a long time, they filled their ice chest and off they went. They left early in the morning when it was still dark. And we stood there and we waved goodbye until they disappeared down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds, which felt too big and too quiet. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And as they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses in different mountains. And they thought about missing us, and we missed them. When they were finally home, they crawled into their soft, silent beds and dreamed about the next summer when we'd all be together again.
So nice to be with all of you again in person or online with beautiful blue skies and sunshine. A few announcements this morning. COVID has created some obstacles to our congregation's social justice work, for sure. But the explosion of passion for racial justice and other developments have opened up many possibilities as well. This coming Saturday's Social Justice Ministry Kickoff will offer spiritual sustenance, relationship building, and concrete skills for this work and these circumstances. It's open to everyone, whether you are brand new or already involved in one of our action groups, and it's collaborative. The kickoff is a joint project with the Social Justice Program at the First Unitarian Church of Portland, Oregon. Their senior minister, Reverend Dr. Bill Sinkford, is serving as minister in residence at All Souls this coming year. The kickoff is Saturday, September 25th from noon to 3 Eastern Time on Zoom. The event is free, but registration is required. Please register via the link in the chat or through the calendar on the church homepage. Our We Connect Wednesdays begin next week on September 29th at 7:30 p.m. with Reverend Louise exploring a spiritual practice that connects to our theme of reunion. Beginning on Wednesday, October 6th, we are inviting you to bring a story to a storytelling circle about a time when you faced your fears and found your courage. More information about We Connect Wednesdays can be found in the e-newsletter and on the church website. Last week, Board President Neil Manzullo and the All Souls Board of Trustees invited you, the entire congregation, to guide the direction of our church by setting new church goals. Goals center our covenantal relationship by describing the shared dreams that we as a community of communities strive to realize. For those of you in the sanctuary, please pick up a brochure as you exit the building. For those online, this information can be found on the homepage. We will be meeting in small groups beginning next month, and we hope that you will sign up for a group to participate in this exciting and important process. And finally, we are so glad that our minister in residence, the Reverend Dr. Bill Sinkford, will be joining us this coming week and will be leading next week's Sunday service from this sanctuary. Reverend Bill will be with us once a month, offering his insight, wisdom, and care. Here endeth the announcements.
Thank you, Reverend Keithan. We now turn our hearts and our minds to the circle of care and concern. For as we know, joy and woe are indeed woven together fine. So we are sending ongoing healing prayers to baby Yonadab, who is the child of staff Hannah Obamichael and her husband. Little Yonadab will be in the hospital for a few months as he continues to grow and strengthen after premature birth. And we are wishing Rochelle Rice's aunt well as she continues to navigate cancer treatments in Colorado. We know that this is impacting Rochelle, her mom, and extended family, and we send healing wishes to all. Our hearts are with Leah Mehta, whose father, Bevram Mehta, died recently under difficult circumstances. And today we are thinking of Leah, her husband Ryan Tuggle, and children May and Lucille as they grieve this loss. We send our sincere condolences to Betty Ann Kane and family on the death of Noel Kane on September 10th in Maine. Noel died of an infection after a year of medical issues, and he was a former moderator of All Souls, and the Kanes are longtime members. Betty Ann will be back in town to plan a pending memorial service with their daughter. There are a couple other upcoming celebrations of life we want you to be aware of. On Saturday, September 25th, 1 p.m. on Zoom for Alex Zanoli, who's partner of Nadine Dutcher. Reverend Louise will be officiating at that service. And on Saturday, October 9th at 10:30 a.m. in the sanctuary and on Zoom, a memorial service for James Lowen. His spouse is Susan Lowen, and I will be officiating at that service. So now we turn into and towards a moment of silence, meditation, reflection, and prayer, as is your practice. O Spirit of life, how good it is to center down into that which nourishes and sustains us. The calm of stillness. To dwell even for a moment on all the joys, all the ecstasies of tender relations that give our lives its zest and meaning. To peek through the mystic window and look upon the fabric of life. How still it breathes, how solemn its march, how profound its perspective. To remember, even in the broken times, the helpers and the healers, those who bring hope in the bleakest of days. Those who hold space and silence for one another. Remind us, O Spirit of life, that we are the helpers and the healers and the holders of holy time. May we deepen our grounding in the sustaining mystery that is our life. As we ask, O Spirit of life, that you come unto us in this moment, in this space, and sing in our hearts all the stirrings of compassion. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be.
For all those joys and concerns named and unnamed, we hold love in our hearts this day. Our reading is an excerpt from a new book called Holding Change: The Way of Emergent Strategy, Facilitation, and Mediation by Adrienne Marie Brown. This is a time when we need a lot of facilitators and mediators, a lot of holders of change. We are at a very particular moment in human history, a period of time when we need to shift away from the competitive, directive, combative, colonial energy of toxic leadership at every level of society. The structures built to pierce the sky, the walls conjured to make the earth a puzzle of combative territories, keeping some in power and others without it, all of these structures are crumbling. It is time to move towards new ways of being that are focused on listening to each other deeply and accepting each other whole. We need to learn ways of being in space together that help us see beyond the false constructs of superiority and inferiority without asking us to sacrifice what has shaped us. We need to study being receptive and non-judgmental with each other, letting the earth and community hold us until we remember we already belong. I believe holding change can be sacred work, and I'll admit it is most satisfying to me when the sacred is palpable in the room.
From the first time I walked into this All Souls Sanctuary in early 2004, I felt that sacred space was palpable in the room. I have also felt vibrant, sacred space in our pandemic Zoom rooms. So people out there, I feel you in the atmosphere. This has been so surprising to many of us. Worship brings us together to remember the holy and the highest values of humans and to feel connected. There's joy in regathering and anxiety right now as we hold so much complexity together. Some of us are out engaged in the world a lot right now, and some of us are still very much restricted, close to home, either by choice or by circumstance. So much is different and so much is lost in the last 18 months. Some things have stayed firm and others have transformed. So who are we now as a congregation, All Souls? Who do we want to be? No one can fully name this in any community in September 2021. Too much is still unfolding. We are not even certain of our size at this moment in real time and space. Many of us have been very present online for months, and then there are those of us who have floated away into other Sunday habits, other communities that serve them. So this is the larger reality. There is work of complex reunion in progress towards an unknown destination. And this is the time of recreating congregation, and it can be strange. We are in All Souls Story Year. We're celebrating our 200th anniversary. We're engaged in interim ministry and early preparation for a senior minister search. We haven't been in this confluence of things before within a pandemic. And similar to what is happening all over the country, We are honoring and learning from history while we seek to name the omissions, to name the harm. And so this fall, we are working on vision and goals together. And this winter and spring, we will work on a transformative justice process. So all year long, we will be recreating communities of care. One thing is clear: the whole world has changed, and we cannot go back. There's only now and forward into something new. And so we must name that existential truth, or we risk being a waning and irrelevant church that holds too hard to the past. To go forward, we must all hold change together. You heard the reading that Reverend Rob did. Our wonderful book, Holding Change, has been sparking my imagination, challenging my assumptions for a few weeks now. The observations and the writing by Adrienne Marie Brown are powerful, as are the contributions by others in a section called Black Feminist Wisdom. They all create this multi-layered way to hold space that is holistic, that is authentic. They suggest that this work of holding change is imperative and sacred. And so there are two areas of attention and intention that are crucial to holding space well. So building on what this book offers, I'd call these somatic intelligence and relational intelligence. What is somatic intelligence? It's recognizing fully our embodied selves at all times, tending our creature selves with care, respecting all bodies, all creatures daily, becoming aware of your emotional range and depth without avoiding uncomfortable places, understanding the power and the limits of the mind, which can take you into the weeds, connecting our physical phenomena with external and internal pressures, using all our sensory awareness, and developing a wise regard for trauma, for harm reduction, and healing. So obviously, this is a lifetime practice. What is relational intelligence? Connecting as a whole person to other people, building relationships at the speed of trust. Not my phrase, but I love it. Remembering power dynamics are operating, always. Relating to everyone in your networks with curiosity, with kindness and presence, being real, risking vulnerability, knowing that this wide range of identities that we hold together here and in the world can collide in conflict or cohere in oneness. Caring deeply about people first, which means not getting too bogged down in your tasks, your programs, our weighty to-do lists, staying nimble in response to people. And so relational intelligence is also, as a teacher of mine once said, not a one-walk dog. It's over and over. There's a third area that's crucial in my view, earth intelligence. There's a 20-minute video that's circulating right now by the Buddhist leader and climate warrior Joanna Macy. Has anyone seen this besides me? Anyone? Nope. Check it out. It's called Climate Crisis: A Spiritual Path. And Joanna Macy asks, are we in the great unraveling or the great turning? And if it is both at once, how do we live? Her speaking is sharp and clear, like the bell of a wise elder. We have to learn to live in the midst of this vast grief, this loss, this breakdown. without unraveling ourselves. And so communities of vision and support will be the key to survival and the ability to thrive. There is a strong need for our All Souls congregational vitality. However, we need a continually updating model in order to stay relevant, to stay useful. We're completely out of time to stay unconscious and disconnected from our bodies, from each other, from the living web of life. Out of time. This shared earth consciousness that's been arising for some decades acknowledges that there are sacred ways indigenous peoples have always known, and that some in all generations of all peoples have lived. This way is rooted in planetary intelligence. It's connected to the elements. It's naming sacred space as palpable in all of nature. It finds beauty and wonder in our universe and our cosmos and our rooted earth. It holds the widest view of all that is, allowing people to rise whole repeatedly in the midst of the chaos. A couple weeks ago, I was in a conversation with a colleague, and we were trying to figure out how are we moving forward and what were we thinking about worship. And I was standing on one leg, and I looked out the window, and I saw an albino squirrel. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're in the time of standing one leg with an albino squirrel. This is how my brain works. But for some reason, it was really comforting. I thought, I am a beginner in this. Like, I've never done this before. None of us have. The harvest full moon is coming in tomorrow. And the equinox is arriving Wednesday, this point of balance that's halfway between each solstice, June and December. And the planetary coordinates remind me of our limited human vantage point, how we are very small in a vast cosmos, and so transitory in the patterns of hundreds, thousands of years. And I'm comforted by the fact that we humans also are abundant in creative connections. We could direct anywhere to almost anything. And many feel we are at a point of both peril and possibility. It has never been more important to design well. And so in the midst of holding space, this is what complex reunion means to me. To create congregational life in a new way at this time. To remember our place on this land and the city, in this biosphere, in our watershed, this region. To build ongoing relational embodied habits in this ecosystem of congregational care. To cultivate relationships with the people right in front of us, every individual, every group with whom we are connected. To develop a deeper trust internally, externally, while repairing breaches with compassion. Deciding not to bury or omit the hard realities. To allow ample room for grief around loss and change while practicing restorative justice around harm. And to find our vision and goals together as a beloved community, willing to be vulnerable and aspirational and brave. Adrienne Maree Brown writes, to hold space, to hold change, is to hold both the people in and the dynamic energy of a room, a space, a meeting, an organization, a movement. To hold the people and the energy of a space, an organization, a movement. This is where we are. This is our complex reunion at All Souls, our sacred space for honoring history and creating this newly evolving congregation. And this is an urgent time in all institutions, and we have an opportunity to design a better and a bolder future together. Good to be on the ride with you, fellow humans. Glad to be in this tribe. Amen.
The offering is a time to lift up our collective responsibility for the common good. Every week, we request an offering in our community, and modifications to worship due to COVID have really not changed that practice. We ask you to offer something of yourselves to this common endeavor we call All Souls. We take up this offering because giving is inherently a spiritual practice, and it does our souls good. We collect an offering to support not only the staff, the building, and the programs of All Souls, but the values we identify as critical to both creating and sustaining what we call beloved community. There are several ways to give. On Zoom, you may click the link in the chat, which will direct you to the All Souls giving page. And here in the sanctuary, you may give electronically by going to all-souls.org/donate or text ASCU to 73256. If you're here today and you'd like to give in person, please consider dropping your offering in the basket as you exit the sanctuary on 16th Street towards the end of service. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher rays. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us find ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair and serve above.
That was the closing hymn. We skipped there a little bit early, so I invite you to rise if you are willing and able, and the worship leaders to come down. Our benediction comes from a brand new minister, Leela Galt, whose Zoom ordination was yesterday in Austin, and I could attend on Zoom to do the charge. Reverend Lee said, "The world needs all its flowers. Bloom wildly and bloom stubbornly, my beloveds." And I say, this congregation needs you to bloom and hold change in many kinds of blossoms as we grow together in this garden of all souls. Blessed be, and amen. And we will gather outside for the benediction and music. If you let your worship leaders roll or walk by, we will see you out there. And feel free to be seated if it feels better.